We back, episode 21, and wrestling got real messy this week. Jacob Fatu out here beating Roman Reigns like he stole something. AEW might have telegraphed MJF's win over Darby Allin, and TNA made a huge mistake with Leon Slater. Let's talk about it on this episode of the Crimson Mask Show. At what point are we going to stop treating Jacob Fatu like he's not the most dangerous guy in the room? Like he's not the most dangerous guy in professional wrestling. Because I'll tell you right now, he's been beating Roman Reigns like he stole something for weeks. And yeah, we could talk about Roman's win at Backlash, but the reality is, Jacob still beat his ass. Jacob still beat his ass. And now Jacob has moved on to the extended family by beating the shit out of Jimmy and Jay. They've been trying to talk him down, they've been trying to control him. The thing is that Jacob cannot be controlled. So the key question is going to be, where the hell do we go from here? And the only thing I can think of is that there's two outcomes. Either Jacob ends up winning that title and the rest of the bloodline falls behind Jacob, or Roman wins again and Jacob has to acknowledge him, whether he likes it or not. Those are the only two outcomes. And yeah, we can get some twists and turns involved in it along the way. We can get a Zilla Fatu. We can see what's going on with Solo. Like, that's the thing, man. A lot of people complain about the Bloodline storyline, how it's been going on and on and on and on and on for years. But the thing is that WWE is feeding off of this Bloodline storyline. I was just telling Petey Stunt the other day, where the hell would WWE be if everybody in the bloodline just said, you know what? We gonna all leave. We gonna all start our own promotion. We'll have The Rock running the shit behind the scenes. And WWE will be screwed because the bloodline storyline has been carrying that company for years. And fans need to realize it. But anyway, Jacob Fatu, the most dangerous man in professional wrestling right now. And I got a feeling he's just getting started. WWE is back to making some of the same mistakes that they have made historically. They're making these mistakes again. And the mistake that I'm talking about is the mistake of them booking themselves into corners. Now, answer me this. If you have guys who are just showing up to the main roster, women and men who are trying to get their footing, who you're trying to get fans to stand behind, why are you pitting them in matches against one another and having a situation where either one or the other has to lose? Why is Sol Ruka, who you're trying to build up clearly, fighting Io Sky when you know Io Sky is one of the stronger booked competitors in WWE? You don't want Io Sky to lose. You don't want Soul to lose, but you put them in a match against each other, and now one of them have to lose. Why is Carmelo Hayes in a match against Ricky Saints? Carmelo Hayes, who you have to keep the momentum going for, and Ricky Saints, a guy who you just called up. Now you got Ricky Saints taking the L, and he's then lost both of his matches since he's got called up to the main roster. I think he might be like 1-2, 1-3. I think he might have beat like Matt Cardona or something. I don't know. But either way it go, he's losing more than he's winning, and that's not going to be a good look for him. Then you have Royce Keys, a guy who it took you months to get on TV, finally on TV. And yeah, kudos to him. He was able to take a step up and fight the career killer Gunther, but that's the problem. He's fighting the career killer Gunther, and I understand that the MFTs or whoever got involved, and that caused him to lose, but that's the key point. He lost. So WWE backing themselves into corners, hurting one or the other competitor, and it blows my mind in both cases. Putting new people who are just getting called up against people who are strongly booked on a consistent basis, and putting people who should either A, be winning, or B, you're trying to get the fans to start getting behind. You're putting them in matches against each other and they're taking losses. So I don't know. It's just like they're throwing shit against the wall to see what's going to stick. And unfortunately, someone's going to have to get the short end of the stick. No, WWE. No, 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 no. You booked this man to beat Brock Lesnar. You booked him to beat Brock Lesnar. And now you got him walking around doing open challenges every week. I hate to say this. I hate to say it. WWE right now at this present moment in time, and I know I'm going to catch heat for it, but whatever. They're booking this man like Ryback. They're booking him like Ryback. You guys remember when Ryback used to fight one and two dudes, beat them at the same time, beating Jobber week after week after week? What are you waiting for on this man? Why are you waiting to press the button? What does this man have to do to start doing some meaningful shit on TV? Now I get it. If I had to telegraph it, if I had to project out what is WWE probably doing, they're probably setting Oba Femi up to win this John Cena Invitational or whatever. He's doing open challenges. He's like super hot after beating Brock. Like, I don't understand the rules of it. He said, John Cena said that fans can vote somebody to win, even if they don't win a tournament. I don't know. But all I do know is that I don't like what they're doing with Oba. They need to find this man a meaningful feud, or at the very least, if you can't do that, keep lining guys up in front of him that are physically imposing to where Oba at least looks dominant. Him beating up Los Garzas, that does nothing for him. It does absolutely nothing. Him beating Otis, that did a little something. That's what I mean by physically imposing guys, but this Oba Femi thing, man, I hope that he's not losing momentum because he just got it. He just got it. So we're gonna see what happens. I'm a very much a let it play out kind of guy, but we need to get this ball rolling because Oba Femi, we can't lose Oba Femi. Protect Oba Femi at all cost. So this week for WWE, what can we do? Jacob Fatu, Bloodline storyline, whatever. I like that. But the Oba Femi thing, the booking people into corners thing, I'm only gonna be able to give that shit 5 BTAs. Five. 5 BTAs for WWE this week. Let's see if WWE can get it up to 6, 7, 8 going forward. But we are definitely in that post WrestleMania swoon that WWE is known to go into. We are on to AEW. We are on to MJF, Darby Allin, hair versus title. And I know that is a very polarizing stipulation for wrestling. There's some people that love it, there's some people that hate it. But here's my opinion on it. The way I look at it is, it kind of feels like to me that MJF in the hair versus title match, it kind of telegraphs that MJF is about to win his title back, even though he just lost it. Even though he just lost it. They're doing this thing now with Darby Allin where they're saying he's pushing himself too much, pushing himself to the limit. And I feel like that's going to be the basis of how and why MJF wins this match. Let me tell you something right now. MJF losing his hair, I am not so sure that that is a good idea. They make a lot of noise about MJF and his hair. They talk about he got hair plugs, this, that, and the third. You know, and I'll get to it in a second. What I think a hairless MJF would look like in AEW, but I do want to take time to talk about the backstage segment where MJF was walking past all of the bald people, and honestly, I thought that shit was genius. I think that that was probably the best moment in wrestling this week. I think that was the best moment in wrestling this week. I found it extremely entertaining. As far as what do I think it looks like if MJF loses this match? If MJF has to shave his head, okay, one problem I have with it before I go on about that, one problem I have with it is that we just seen the stipulation with Wheeler Yuta, Orange Cassidy, Tony Storm, and Marina Shafir. I feel like we just seen that stipulation. So I do think it is kind of lazy in that aspect. But what I will say is that if you have MJF shaving his head, the first thing they should do is they should have him leave TV for a month or two. And I'm not going to mince words here. If MJF comes back with a shaved head, he better be a fucking menace. He better be a menace. He better be a notch below '09 Randy Orton. He needs to be completely unhinged. All of the trademark MJF stuff, like making favorable stipulations to where he has the advantage in the match, shit like that, the dynamite diamond ring, all that shit he does, that needs to, for long term or temporarily, go out the window. We need to see a whole new MJF. He has to almost have to be driven crazy by the fact that he had to shave his head. But with all that being said, I do not think it's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is they gave Darby Allin his, here damn title run, and I think the Triple B is going back to MJF. That's what I think is going to happen. I find this entertaining, even if the stipulation is a little bit overdone and was done already, even if there's a lot of people making a lot of fuss about a hair versus title match, I think it's fine, and I found it entertaining. Another thing that I found somewhat thoroughly entertaining is this Will Ospreay Death Riders thing. I found it pretty entertaining. Now, I did have a ton of questions at first about the execution of how they're going to do this storyline, because I'm like, you were just pissed off that they almost ended your career. And now, in order to preserve your career, you're getting trained by the people who almost ended your career. That's kind of like a mind fucking itself. That's almost a mind fucking of itself. But what I do like is I like the potential of where this storyline could go if they play it the way they need to play it. And just like with the Bloodline thing in WWE, there's a couple of branches that can happen based off of this storyline. So one thing I've noticed, and I thought they were going to pull the trigger on this months ago. I thought that we were going to get into a storyline with the Death Riders where the people who were behind John Moxley have started to come to the point where they're saying, you know what? He's being too soft. He's not being the John Moxley that we all know and love. We need somebody to lead us who's going to be a complete fucking maniac and have us attacking and dominating everybody. That's what the storyline I thought they were going to do, but it seems like they kind of moved away from that, and it seems like now everybody is firmly behind John Moxley again. But this Will Ospreay thing is interesting because a couple of things can happen. You can have it to where a few things can happen. Actually, you can have it to where Will Ospreay eventually just joins the Death Riders. That's the simple, most basic thing that can happen. The other scenario that can happen is Will Ospreay could get his training from the Death Riders, and they could kick him out the nest and send him on his way with these new skills that they've taught him. But then we could get into the real juicy shit. We could see a scenario where the Death Will Ospreay becomes so dangerous and so unstoppable that the other members of the Death Riders turn on John Moxley, side with Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay becomes the new leader of the Death Riders. And then we could also have a storyline where Will Ospreay gets trained by the Death Riders, learns their ways, learns their techniques, and destroys the Death Riders from the inside, gets his revenge on John Moxley, ends the Death Riders in AEW for good. We could definitely see that. So very entertaining storyline. AEW has been getting a little bit better with their storylines lately. They still have some questionable booking here and there, but I do like this. I do like this, and I hope that they find a way to finish this storyline off or just get it started. But in the end of it, I want to be able to look back on it and say that shit was fun and it made a lot of sense. So, with all that being said, AEW for this week, I'm going to give AEW 7 BTAs. 7. 7 BTAs. AEW has been extremely entertaining in this point in time, and dare I say it's been more entertaining than World Wrestling Entertainment. So, and I don't always give flowers to AEW. People think I'm an AEW hater. I'm not, but I do hold AEW accountable when I don't think it's good, unlike a lot of people. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. We'll see. Two very interesting storylines over in AEW. We are headed out to TNA, and let me tell you that TNA has a very bad habit of not knowing how to get out of their own fucking way. They don't know how to get out of their own way. Leon Slater was on the doorstep. He was on the doorstep of breaking the longest reigning X Division champion title. What did they do? They took the belt off of him and gave it to Cedric Alexander. Don't get me wrong. I like Cedric. I like Cedric. But he ain't it. He ain't it. Not when it comes to this. Not when it comes to a company trying to build its future, build a star. Man, that dude going to WWE. He going to WWE. The only way to fix this, monumental, unnecessary mistake is if Leon Slater dropped that title so he can move right into winning the TNA world title from Mike Santana. That's the only way. That is the only way. Because this was complete bullshit. It was. Leon Slater is arguably the best and most important star in TNA. And you had him drop the belt to Cedric Alexander, who is a good wrestler, very good wrestler, extreme talent, but has been seen failing too many times across WWE to be going into TNA and taking the X Division title off of Leon Slater. I just don't see it. Then they had an injury to insult by having Fabian Eichner, Mr. Giovanni Vinci himself, come out the end of the match and stand in front of Cedric Alexander. I know y'all did not move motherfucking Leon Slater out of the way for Fabian Eichner Da Vinci. Like, I can't believe it. They, within the next 3 months, Leon Slater better be winning that TNA world title. That's all I have to say. Nobody will remember this huge mistake if he wins the world title. And that better be the reason he lost, because TNA can't keep affording to misstep. They can't keep affording it. They can't. You could probably guess TNA ain't getting that many BTAs this week. How am I feeling generous? I'm feeling generous. And for my generosity, I'll give TNA 3 BTAs. 3. That's it. That's it, because that Leon Slater shit was some bullshit. But since it was a good match, and since both of them can go in the ring, and since I didn't have any clue where Fabian Eichner, Giovanni Vinci was this whole time, and he finally reappeared, I give him a couple points for that. But yeah, dog, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Wrestling right now is in complete chaos. And honestly, that's where we want wrestling. We could complain, we could disagree, but at the end of the day, it's all wrestling. And in one way or another, we're going to find something to entertain ourselves every time we watch this shit. So in the comments, guys, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, drop how many BTAs you give each promotion this week. Which company had the best week? Let us know. And don't forget to check us out this time next week. You know the name, MFGDs. You know the game. It's the Crimson Mass Show. We'll check you out next time. BTAs.